other day, well, just the other day, I got a question from a somebody on one of my live streams about he's really passionate about traditional animation, but he doesn't know how whether it's worth him learning it because he's got a job in 3D animation and he hates it, but he's his passion's in 2D, but he's worried that he can't really get jobs doing traditional animation and all this, that, and the other. And I kind of explained to him there are many, it's not just about the job, it's about being happy and blah, blah, blah. But then when I got off stream, I realized that, I had been working in Storyboard for 10 years after leaving animation because there was a sort of fallout in traditional animation. And I realized that throughout my career, I became very, very successful storyboard artist and very sought after. And I've picked this particular one to tell you why. And one of the things that has really helped me excel as a storyboard artist is my ability in traditional animation. Now, this particular storyboard, it's quite rough, it's quite loose, but it's something that I did for a project for Lego called the Nexo Knights. And it was a very demanding project. I'm just scrubbing through very quickly here, just to give you something to look at while I'm talking. It was a very demanding project. We were given 6 weeks to storyboard a half-hour show, and we literally had to get the storyboard done in 5 weeks or 4 weeks, and have 2 weeks in case we had changes. So, but the intensity of these shows, and I'll show you, like you're watching like a all-out war going on a bridge here. The intensity and the amount of characters in the shots and the continuity and the action of these, it wasn't easy. We had a lot of people incapable of doing it, a lot of people not wanting to take on the work because of the extremities of the deadlines and such like that. And they wanted these to be really action-packed shows and all those kind of things. So I was, this particular sequence that I'm running through is only one act. Okay, there are 2 acts. So I basically had to storyboard 15 minutes of this kind of high intensity action, multiple characters running, fighting on a bridge, all this kind of stuff. I literally had to storyboard this entire sequence in a week and a half, really. If I was going to meet the deadlines, because then if they wanted any particular changes, not wanting to gloat, they didn't really want. I mean, they didn't really have much to change from my side. Just a few script change ideas, where I basically said, well, that wasn't in the script, so you can either pay me extra, or you can pay somebody else to do it, which they agreed about that. So I found it was hard work. I had to stay up long hours, 14-hour days, 7 days a week to meet it. But it was pretty straightforward to me. It was pretty straightforward for me to go through this entire 15-minute sequence full of this intense action. I'll slow it down and talk a little bit more. I'm just scrubbing while I'm giving you this introduction, so you've got something to look at. Intense stuff, and of course there are other things that you need to be a storyboard artist. You need to understand staging, you need to understand appeal, exaggeration, you need to understand the language of cinema, you need to understand shot composition, you need to understand lenses, you need to understand the 180-degree rule, basic editing, flow, continuity, and things like that. But one of the things that really helped me sail through this project and give it so much appeal, and which is why they love my work so much, is because these things have to go over to India, I believe, to be animated. And the more information, even though it's CG, because I've also been an animation director for Lego. I wasn't for this project. I was an animation director on the first series of Lego Legends of Tsushima. And the more information the CG animator has, the easier workflow it is for them. So I literally pose all this out, and they have a really good guide to stick to. And follow. And when I was directing the animation on Chima, the boards that I was working with were very, very weak, so I had to draw thumbnails we've got this little column here. Where are we? Panel. This program is called Storyboard Pro. There's in Storyboard we've got, here I've got the script. I've got the script all written down here, which I don't know why I did it like that. But over here we've got all these different options where you can, in the notes section, which I've got over here. There I can make it. I can draw action notes. You can draw in there, and I drew some thumbnails and stuff. So anyway, so you can see for an action sequence like this, I was able to just really block it out. I mean, action's kind of my thing. It's second nature to me. I mean, some of you know I've been a martial arts instructor as well as an animator in my youth. I was a martial arts instructor, so this kind of stuff is kind of second nature to me. So I'm able to just block out these things, and you see I'm using all traditional animation concepts, all key poses, extreme poses, putting in extra things in there to really, really help understand. And it also gives you an idea for the camera, because if you're thinking about camera moves with your animation to make it more dynamic, for example, we've got the guy running here, so I've got him on a cycle, and then have him jump up and whack her on the head and land. And then of course you got to think continuity as well, but it's all it's practically animated. This could go, this thing that I've got here could theoretically go to, if it was 2D, go to a 2D studio. It's almost already laid out. You know, I've almost, if I come back here, you can see some of these layouts are quite, I've had to really work out the background and work out everything that's going on. Let me just go in a little bit so you can see that. So you can see I've had to really work out the background to get these camera moves right, and really work out the continuity of the shots. So it's all very laid out. So practically there's a stage in animation called layout, 2D animation. And because I've been an animation supervisor, storyboard supervisor, and all these things, I've got pretty much a good understanding of layout and backgrounds and stuff like that as well. So it all helps in terms of when you're on a storyboard and you're on an intense project like this. So here we see, like, also he's fighting multiple opponents. That's actually a very tricky thing to do, because the character is going to be disorientated. We've got someone coming at him from this side. We've got someone coming at him from the other side, and now, you know, someone comes behind, and now you don't know who's attacking where. So you got to draw these little maps, and you got to kind of understand where his attacks are coming from. So now this person's come in and kicked the shield away. That's obviously behind him, but now another one's hit him there. So obviously there's also in the staging, you want your fighter, this fighter is really good, but you want him to feel disorientated and, you know, as if he's getting overpowered here. So then obviously now this guy comes and throws this shield in. He's got it, and then you can see as he's got it, there's a sense of a second wind, like he's got a second wind. So again, you see here the animation, the running towards the camera, the running away, the sense of timing and staging to really be able to capture all these things in there. Again, you know, like throwing the axe forward, the axe spinning and going into those things to create the camera move with that sort of anime style transition there. And then the calm after the storm. So you see, although you might see a lot of storyboards online, some good, some bad, but the better storyboards you'll see, particularly for animated shows, will often be done by people who understand traditional hand-drawn animation as well as cinema. So here you can see, even in a shot like this, you know, the staging of this thing rotating and turning away. This is kind of using multiples and whiz lines of traditional animation to get that effect. So you could see even when there's just simple dialogue, so with these characters with simple dialogue poses, you can see that the posing qualities of traditional animation, where you're almost treating it like key positions is really, really helping it. Because although these drawings are really loose and really, really rough, being able to key out poses, as you've seen me do on my live streams, in a really, really kind of loose, rough way, but still manage to have appeal in the characters is very important. Now, this is the big part. This is the real. I was literally had just around about a week and a half to do this particular section here, which is just insane when you think about. When I look back at it, it's quite insane how much work is involved. So this guy, it starts as this guy's running down here. He's blowing things up with his staff, and now they're on the bridge and they're going to have a all-out war. And then he calls this big machine in, and this guy's driving it, and basically it goes. They have a little kind of, see, again, here is traditional animation. I shouldn't really be shirking this for the action. So you see there's a lot of like poses going on. So what's going on in the dialogue? Let's see what's being said in the dialogue. Do I have my dialogue notes? Storyboard. No, I don't have my dialogue notes at the moment. So he's obviously acting and talking, and all these kind of things are going on. So it's all kind of traditional animation poses that we see happening there. So now this thing opens up, and out come all these characters, and there's going to be a mass-on war going on. So this is what really, really separates the men from the boys, because you have to really kind of understand from a storyboarding point of view, your orientation. You can get lost on a scene like this. So they're running towards them. The camera pulls out. So again, you have this kind of running. The camera follows them and pulls out. They're running to the camera. You kind of have a top establishing shot, and then you get in there. You want to get tight in there, and you really have to think about edit points to make the action exciting. So he swipes towards the screen. These guys fall back, but as they fall back, they're pushed aside as other guys run forward. And again, this is all key extreme animation that we're seeing happening here. If I take that out, you can see how it's all kind of like laid out, where the background's all really been thought about in these shots. So it helps me from getting lost. So they fall over that side. We're only really seeing that. But by having that background in there, it kind of really helps me understand, get everything in the way. So then we see her running forward. She knocks them, as she's running, she knocks them aside. And then she looks up. There's people dropping stuff from the sky. Again, as they're falling, you want to think about the edit points. So them falling towards the screen's an edit point. She jumps up. She does a somersault in the air and whacks them down. She lands. Then her land is another edit point, over the shoulder, looking back up at them, turning. Now he's coming from the sky. He's going around. He's shooting. The camera's kind of following him as he's shooting. This guy then readies himself. So it's all out war. He runs. He turns into them. He jumps up. The camera follows him up into the sky as he whacks some people down there. And then he comes and knocks them aside. So you have to think about the people watching and when to kind of cut between them to make it interesting. So all of this stuff is extremely what gives you the confidence, what gave me the confidence to be able to just prattle through it with very little thumbnailing. You know, I would thumbnail, but really, really loose. Is because I knew I knew that I had those skills, those drawing skills and animation skills combined to be able to create a sense of timing in my storyboards and a sense of posing, so that however rough my work was, because this is pretty rough, you know, it's good enough when you're watching it moving to get an understanding of everything that's happening. It's almost like, you know, it's almost animated. So she's running forward. Again, when you choreograph your fights, so I would choreograph this move where she's running towards her opponent and she jumps and hits him and whacks him and then whacks another one with a back step like that. But then as you choreograph that move, you think about how you can make it interesting with the camera. So you have the camera coming in as an edit point as she whacks towards the screen and knocks another guy back. So you really got to think about how you can make interesting edit points, but also the fact that again, to stress this again, because I'm a hand-drawn animator and I just understand movement and flow, it's just so easy for me to be able to think like that, to be able to think, okay, well, how do I depict this in a way that the director is going to look at it and go, wow, that's a great idea. So like he knocks his lance into the ground, his name's Lance, and he shoots up, the camera follows him up. We've got to look at it within the context. So the camera follows him up, and then the camera follows him down as he kicks them all, spinning around his lance. And because it's all traditionally animated in that key way, it just reads so easily to the director watching it. They're not just watching a big arrow spinning around saying that they've been hit. The director can watch it and really kind of get an eye and a feel for what it is you're trying to convey in your storyboarding, and then you can get your scene approved a lot easier. And that's one of the reasons why I really rarely ever got asked. There was one project I remember. It was a preschool project where I was asked to change a lot of my stuff, but I rarely ever get asked to change my stuff, because I'm able to communicate. So now the bridge is going to decay. See, this is an insane sequence. There's so much stuff going on. But because I'm able to communicate with the director through my work, through my storyboarding, of what exactly is happening, that they're almost watching an animated show. It's almost like you could watch this and you instantly know what's happening without any arrows and things like that. You're able. See, now they've got to run after beating all these people up on the bridge. Now the bridge is collapsing and they've got to run and carry on fighting. I tell you, even like sometimes you don't often get oh shit when you're reading the script. But like even me, when I was reading the script of this episode, I was thinking, you want this done in what, 4 weeks? Are you kidding me? Because they give you 2 weeks for the changes. And that means, by the way, that this particular scene would be about a week and a half or 2. I would have to save a week and a half to do this particular sequence here, which I've showed you on the bridge. Not to mention that I would then have the other half a week to be able to do all of that other stuff that I was showing you earlier on. So all of this sequence here would have been done in half a week. So all of this stuff here, just to give you an idea of the scheduling. But it didn't faze me because as I say, when I tried to put out this thing of real animator training and the real animator training library, which I've built to try and give people a sense, it's the whole concept of real animator is so that you feel like the real deal at heart. So whenever you're faced with an intimidating or an imposing project, imposing more so because of the deadline. You can confidently know what you can do to get through it. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. So if that person who asked me about what is the purpose of learning traditional animation, I don't feel I can get any work with it. Well, it's not especially. It's really going to be just traditional animation work. You see, as I said, I've been working in Storyboard for the past 10 years of my life, more so than traditional animation or animation. I've been taking a few animation director jobs, but my traditional animation skills, my traditional animation knowledge is what helps me just breeze through these seemingly challenging tasks extremely well, in a way that communicates to the director very clearly. So I'm confident that I'm able to get through this stuff. Here we've got one of my in the chat here. Everybody, if I know we've just got 6 people, but take a time to say hello to Mr. John Paul Vermeulen. He was one of the directors on this this and it was he's a very good friend of mine, and it was an absolute pleasure to be working with him on this project. So he knows, he's a traditional animator as well before he became a storyboard artist and storyboard director, and he knows the importance of hand-drawn animation and just how hand-drawn animation has helped him throughout his career just as much as it's helped mine. So I'm not saying that you can't be a storyboard artist without being a hand-drawn animator, because it's not about just hand-drawn animation, obviously. It's about many things. It's about staging, which is a principle of animation. It's about appeal, exaggeration, which are principles, laws of animation. But it's also about cinema. It's about, understanding editing, understanding continuity, staging, all those kind of things. It's very, very important. And you see, because of that, I'm then able to make go on and make my own projects, which what you're seeing me doing with this Little Red Riding Hood thing at the moment. Where is it? So I'm able to go and make my own projects where my storyboarding is just for me. I don't have to show it to anybody. So I literally animate away to myself, and I'm able to just jump in, just like I would be storyboarding on a Lego, for example. But I would just rough out the whole thing, and then it helps me be an independent filmmaker as well, so I can just go away and make my own films, because it's exactly like doing this. Like, I've almost animated this Lego action sequence. So when I'm working on my own thing, like if I wanted to, I could, if this wasn't owned by Lego, okay, and if it was my own thing, I could sit there and just in between and clean up all this stuff, and it would be animation, just like it was with that Red Riding Hood thing. And that's when it dawned on me that I can do my own stuff. Because working in the industry for a long time, you kind of think, oh, you can't do it on your own. You can't do it on your own. You need all these people. You need this budget. You need all this and that. And there is some truth to that. But when I was sitting here boarding on projects like this, I'd be thinking to myself, shit, man, I've done all these episodes. I've done half hours here, half hours there, loads of 10 minutes. Throughout my life, I could have made my own animated feature film. I could have made my own animated feature film. And that's one of the things. The industry is very important. You learn a lot, you get a lot of skills, you get a lot of professionalism, but it does take all your time and all your energy in selling someone else's product. And that's why I am where I'm at now at the moment. I'm pushing my own thing. I'm doing my own thing because I realize it's a coming of age thing, that if I'm able to sit down and do all this in literally 2 weeks, then I'm going to be able to clean up and animate my own short 5-minute, full-blown traditional animated project. So anyway, hi there, Carlos Enrique. Kate. Okay, well, anyway. Well, thank you. It was just a quick Facebook stream. I'm going to share this video on YouTube as well, because I think it's going to benefit all of the people that follow me on AMB Animation. It's been an absolute pleasure to share some of go down memory lane, but more importantly to highlight with you why traditional animation exists. If you just look at all these CG movies and all these things being done, they still have traditional animation reference tests and things like that, because inside they know that this is one of the most expressive, communicative ways of doing the craft of animation. So it exists very much in the framework of animated projects, even if we don't see it in its finished form. So, but I'm of course changing that. But more on that. That, as they say at the end of Conan, that is another story. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, you okay. Well, now I know your real name, Cape. Absolutely awesome. And on that note, I'm going to say bye-bye, and I will catch you all some other time. Thanks a lot for joining me.